Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and I know this information did come out yesterday, but I'm getting to it now. Tim Walz is the vice president pick by Kamala Harris for the Democratic Party, and we're going to discuss it. I'm going to go over all this, what I've researched and my personal opinions on the situation. First of all, let's say this move surprised a lot of people. The move surprised a lot of people. And why is that? Because Kamala Harris doubled down on the idea of going far left. The progressive idea was like, you know what, let's give someone more moderate in the idea because we are wanting to get some people split opinions, because there's about 13% of people that do not fully made a decision on Republican or Democrat. Because a lot of people have already made up their mind. They made up their mind probably 4 years ago when the results ended. But some people are on the fence. So it's like, if we go for moderate, we can kind of play both sides of the fence, maybe get some people over. Kamala said, no, I'm going to double down. I'm going to stick to my guns. And we're going to Tim Walz. If you don't know much about Tim Walz, he's from Minnesota. He has a political role in Minnesota. And we're going to discuss him a bit. If you don't know anything about him, you'll learn a bit about him right now. He's 60 years old, and he's in the Minnesota, governing there. And people have had mixed opinions about him and all that. But let's just get through it, and then I'll give my personal opinions. And I'll probably give some throughout the entire bit. But this is an interesting situation right now. He's a former teacher and from the National Guard, Army National Guard. He served 24 years and was a command sergeant major. That's a pretty high role. That's a very, very high role. And usually for military, you wouldn't expect someone to come out the military and be this progressive or this far left. Usually you see more moderate or right wing. But not often you see a full-on left wing when it comes to former military, especially one who's been in the military for 24 years. We saw J.D. Vance. I know he was not in the military for anywhere close to being that long. At least I don't believe so. But he's very much on the opposite side of them. These are very much mixed opinions. You cannot get more far difference if you even tried on how these people's opinions are. And that's a problem. That's a problem we will discuss later on. He's very progressive, extremely progressive. And again, we will discuss it, but some of the things, highly supports the LGBTQ community, highly supports it. Anything relating to it, he supports. Defunding the police or limiting the police, he says it brings a lot more higher tensions within a city when more police are a part of it. I personally disagree, but let's carry on. I'll give my, again, opinions later on. He's a family man, that says. I think he has a wife who's also a teacher. And I believe he has 2 or 3 kids. I'm not sure exactly, but that's what I've heard. That's what I've read, mainly. He won re-election 5 times. You have to be doing something somewhat good to be re-elected 5 times. That's not bad. He has a lot of connections with China. He's made a lot of visits to China. You can look at that as a good or a bad, depending on what side you're on. I'm not sure if he's becoming friends with them or not. I doubt we will ever become allies with China in any military way. But trade, we already have that. We get most of our stuff from China. So, a lot of connections there, and you can decide if that's a good thing or not on your opinion. Again, he very much supports the LGBTQ community. For a long time, since the 90s, he was doing this. So it's not like, oh, he just popped up now. This has been a thing for over 25 years. This man has been supporting this community, and that is okay. That is up to him. He decides upon that. He ended the book of bans on ideology within the state of Minnesota. He put tampons in boys' bathrooms. That one I wanted to kind of discuss. That's a strange thing. I know that was kind of a crazy kind of just flip, talking about the talking about the book bans on ideology. He ended that to he put tampons in boys' bathrooms. Very confusing on that. I'll give my opinion about this right now. I don't need one. I don't know any guy that needs one. There you go. If you're a trans man, if you're coming from a woman to be a man, I would like to say this. Please don't use the boys' bathroom. And it's not because it's going to be weird for any one of us, I would say. It's going to be very much weird for you. I doubt you're going to find any pee stains, piss stains, whatever you want to call it, on your toilet in any woman's bathroom. I doubt you're going to see any of the stuff that you would even think could be bad in a boy's bathroom. You will see it more than just that. It's insane. But the amount of times I walked into the bathroom and toilet paper has clogged up on purpose, a toilet, is insane. We're not clean. I would suggest to stay in your own lane when it comes to this department. Also, some guys are just really weird. There's cracks within the stalls. They're going to take advantage of that. They're going to look. They're going to get a little peek in. Everyone knows a guy that would do something like that if a woman walked in, whether it's trans or not. So, for your own safety, please don't. Just don't. And again, I don't know any guys that need tampons. So it's an interesting move. It's a very interesting move. And he legalized recreational marijuana. Again, I don't use it, so I'm not saying if it's a good or bad thing. It's an interesting move on his part. I know a former Minnesotan of Jesse Ventura was a big fan of the idea of legalizing marijuana. Jesse Ventura, very interesting guy. Do some research about him. Also look up Will Sasso. He has the best impersonation of the guy out there. Do yourself a favor. If you know what Jesse Ventura sounds like, look up 10 minutes of Will Sasso talking like Jesse Ventura. It's one of the funniest things you'll see. And also, this is kind of one of the main quotes that were like, oh, like Republicans got like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. He called the Republicans weird and strange. I'm not going to touch on the Republican part of it because I know they have a lot of weird guys and maybe some women on that side. But I would like to say it's kind of weird that you're saying that they're the weird ones and the strange ones while the president that represents your party that's still in office sniffs kids. And it's very obvious, touches kids, sniffs kids, says a lot of strange stuff. And it's been on record and it's been shown on many TV clips and little clips on YouTube that he likes sniffing young girls. Don't forget that. And you're calling them weird and strange, which I could only relate to that. I would assume that he's trying to relate that to in a situation I just said, that they're weird, they go after people. Like, your president does that. He represents your party. And the woman who's trying to run for president was the VP for that guy. So it's kind of tough to say that. And it makes sense to be credible within that reign. But you could, my opinion time, that was the notes I've had upon the situation. You cannot ask for too much or this much of a rival situation. This is Lakers, Celtics, Duke, North Carolina, Auburn, Alabama. This is Michigan, Ohio State. This is Manning versus Brady. This is the rivalry of rivalries. It's Democrats and Republicans, and you could not get more tension than right now. You couldn't make more tension than you have right now. We thought Trump was going to be a runaway favorite after he got shot. And it survived. Got clipped in the ear, thankfully. And anyone says, I hope he died. Would you like to be in a civil war? I doubt you would. So be thankful he didn't die, because that would have been an uproar upon the entire country. Not just the South, the entire country. See? It would have happened. Anyways, off of that. This is a huge amount of tension going on right now. We thought Trump was going to be a runaway favorite. And now Kamala's kind of creeped her way back in. Trump's not really helped himself with a little... Again, Trump has a problem that he gives people opportunities to clip a 10-second thing within his interview that could be 2-3 hours and then use it. You can't give people that type of stuff. If right now, what Trump should be doing is shut up and let Democrats talk. But the problem is Democrats have been, more than anything, kind of been a little bit more quiet, and Trump has just been out there continuously. I'm not saying Democrats have been in the shelter type of in underground type of thing. No, they've been out there, but Trump is putting up bulletin board material of we can use this, we can use that. You can't be doing that. It's like in court. Let your lawyer talk. Let other people talk. Don't you talk. You already have the situation in the bag. Just don't talk. And the plaintiff started talking. And now we have a problem because they're now nitpicking every other thing that you say. And you can't be doing that. It's your own fault. You've learned that. And that's just how things are. Some media wants him gone. Some media wants him to stay. And we're butting heads. I thought we couldn't get more of a difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Very different within their own minds. Very different how they talk, how they just do everything, their opinions. But how J.D. Vance, let me see if I can find my notes on J.D. Vance. Also, by the way, for Tim Walz, he is a full-on pro-abortion. Full-on pro-abortion. And that's probably not a surprise, saying that he's a full-on progressive. And he is for abortion. Again, that is up to you on however you want to take that. My notes are not easy to find. I'm not the best organizer. I'll be back. Okay, we're back. J.D. Vance, this is what he wants. He wants unity. He's a Marine veteran. He's from the senator from Ohio. Basic rules. He has a wife, too. So that's something you might, if you want to know that, you can. Now you know. Okay, he goes against all abortion. Doesn't seem to have any much interest in Ukraine. Wants a wall and echoes a lot of what Trump's ideas are on the situation. Wants to protect American industries. Climate change is not a huge threat and questions scientists. Consistently supports Israel. And this was written by a guy from the New York Times. But this is also shown, a lot of media has discussed this. And I've seen it for my own. So it's not a crazy thing to say. I know a lot of people like New York Times, all that. Well, this is information. And I do multiple sources. And this is the best one I could find. And it all relates to that. So yeah, you couldn't find, you could just flip the script on all that, and it's what Tim Walz thinks. And I want to say this about abortion and stuff of that nature. If you want to go for it, fine. If you're political realm, that's up to you. The opinion upon it, I'm personally not a huge fan for abortion. I'm personally not. I think the idea of, I'll give an example of the idea of this. Let's say you're baking a cake. I heard this from Bill Burr. Shout out to Bill Burr. He's a comedian. Let's say you're baking a cake of that nature, right? And you have the batter and everything in, and you put it in the oven. And then about 20 minutes in, out of an hour you should have cooked it for, someone comes in and throws that across the kitchen, and it's now broken, and now the cake batter is everywhere. And you're like, well, that was my cake. Why'd you throw that? And the dude's like, it wasn't a cake. Well, it would have been. It's kind of the same case here. It would have been something, but he didn't let it. And I get some ideas about the rape and all that stuff. For that is a whole other situation. If it's not consensual, then you can decide whatever you want with that. I don't think someone should be forced to go through something they never consensually agreed upon from the start. That's my opinion upon it. But if you did it and you knew the responsibility and you knew the consequences, you should deal with it. But before we say no more abortion, before we do anything of that nature, let's fix this foster care system. Let's fix that. I've heard almost no one discuss the foster care system. The foster care system is terrible within this country. I know a lot of foster care kids. I know how situations they've gone through, multiple homes, all of that nature. We have to fix that first. They're naturally depressed, they get abused, and they jump home to home, and they find nothing until they're 18, and now they're shut out to the world. We have a terrible foster care system. So if you want to ban abortion, and you want to do something of that nature, fix the foster care system, and you fix the adoption system that we have in this country. Because a lot of people, if they're forced to go through the baby, will just leave it on the side of the street, or just bring it to the closest foster care system that they have, and say, someone else take care of it, not me. I would say that's the better thing to do, to bring it to a foster care system, if we had a good foster care system, but we don't have that. So before we change any rules upon that, you got to change the foster care system and how we treat these kids, because that's the main thing. That's the biggest thing of them all. If we don't want abortion, what will they do if they still don't want the child? Which a lot of people will probably fall under the circumstance. Let's give them a good place to go. And it can be done if we invest into it and actually get more people and give people higher pay for helping out in foster care. I would say in a situation, if you have more than 2 kids in your household and they're both from foster care, I think you deserve to get a check from the state helping you out each day with funds. Now, each month with funds with it. Because you're doing the Lord's work, pretty much. You're giving these kids an opportunity. You deserve some funding for it. A lot of funding we have goes into stuff that we don't need. This is something that we do need and we extremely need. If we want to change something, you got to give a plan. And I've heard no one discuss that. Pretty much no one discussed that. Tim Walz, I was very surprised by this pick because, again, it's far left. I would have expected someone more moderate, but she keeps doubling down on this side. Again, if you want to support LGBTQ, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. That's completely up to you. No problem with that at all. No problem with that at all. I don't like whenever the idea if you're kind of forcing a situation upon someone, like you're allowed to transition at whatever age you would like. If you're 4 years old, there's no reason for you to take any hormones that would change the way you, first of all, grow up, the way you think. Because when you're at 5 or any age in elementary, you care more about dinosaur train than your own gender. And you should. There's no reason to care about that. Give it to an age that people can fully go through life, at least the early stages of their life. I would say at least 18. If you want to transition after 18, you're an legalized adult. Go on ahead. Go on ahead. You do it then. But you've gone through 18 years of life. At least that. Don't just say any age. That's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous, in my opinion. Because you don't understand who you are as yourself anyways. You don't even know what your dreams are. Why would you even let someone do that? That makes no sense. That's a lifetime change. It's not like, oh, I want to go to college for, let's say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be an astronaut. Well, guess what, Sonny? You can't be an astronaut. We don't have the money. But you don't know that at 8. And especially, they won't know what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And you're going to let them decide what gender they want to be for the rest of their life. That's not what they were naturally born as, in order to give them hormones that we've not seen the full progression of yet. I don't understand that. Which is, give it time, wait until they're an adult, and then give them the decision. Don't at a young age do it. Because a lot of times it's probably the parents' decision too. Don't do that. Don't force upon this idea that it's kind of like at a young age we have to think different. We can't just be a normal kid. It's okay to be a kid. It's okay. Just think about it like that. Adults try to make decisions for kids. That makes no sense. Let the kids think how they want. Let the parents do their part. Be good parents. I don't see a problem. Let the parents do their job. I'm not a big fan of this guy. If you can't tell, I'm not a big fan of him. You can change my opinion. I do like he was a former in the military. We like to see that. I think when it comes to big time decision making, someone who's been there in combat, I like a guy that's been there and done that. That's why. He's a family man. He's progressive. We disagree on some ideas. We might agree on some others. That's all I got to say when it comes to that part. That's my overall opinion on it. And yeah, also the idea of the police stuff. We need police. We do. Take away the police part. Do you want the purge to have happen? Do you want these cities to get any worse? The crime in Chattanooga is one of the worst by population percentage in the country. And you want to take that away, that's going to be bad. And also, if we're going to start punishing people for protecting themselves for their own house, which we already kind of started, you're going to have to let people do that or put more police in the streets. We have to do that. It's the only way for protection. What other better ways for protection? Oh, tension within that realms. You look what El Salvador did whenever they when the guy got elected in, and it was one of the worst places in the world. And they went in and said, we're going to create a prison that once you're in, you're never allowed out, and it's going to be the worst living conditions imaginable, and it's for the most violent gang members in the entire country. They did it. It's one big prison, and they did it. And the crime rate, the murder rate, has gone down tremendously. It is one of the most safe, protected places in the world. Because they said, we're going to punish you to a max extent. Without death, you're going to have to live through this. You're going to have to live it through. They might kill you within there. I can't promise you or not. But you'll always be uncomfortable. You will never get a good night's rest. You'll always be under our control. Because you gave up your freedom by doing something that was terrible. Killing others. For no reason. No reason. So yeah. I'm not saying we have to do something like that nature, but it's the idea. Once you enforce rules to a high level with the police force and all that nature, stuff gets done. Stuff gets done. But some people don't like stepping on other people's toes to get there, or hurting other people's feelings to get what's needed. Let's build a foundation that's good for this country, and let's start it now. This election decides a lot. Let's go. I'm interested in what's going to happen here. But it's turned into more of a political show. It's just a media show right now. You could find us on TLC probably at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. But it's now on everyone's broadcast every single second of every single day. It's ridiculous. What has happened to this country? It's crazy. But there's no professions. There's no professionals within this world. Within this country, at least. It's ridiculous. It's bad. Put on your comments your own opinions about this. Hope you have a great day, y'all. Stay safe. And remember, y'all, God bless you.